is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your live market chat Tuesday, May 9th, 2023. Feel free, leave comments, get involved, ask questions. Here for you guys. It's going to leave it pretty much wide open. Talk about some of the things I'm looking at, some of the things maybe you guys are looking at. Overall, again, it's potentially a turnaround Tuesday, choppy, sloppy action during amateur hour at the open. But as most of you folks know, the bigger things coming down the pipe this week are tomorrow with CPI, Thursday PPI, and we've got budget talks. You've got a lot of stuff kind of behind the scenes that's going to make sense probably of the next direction. Again, personally, I think the market is topping out. It's just taking longer than I would expect, but this is the thing about the markets and what they do. Time is the hardest part. So again, trading off of the monthly, weekly charts, you see the bigger setups. If you're trading intraday, just be prepared. Like looking at AMD today, I mean, it's just all over the map. And again, it probably got an upgrade somewhere at the open. If I had a guess, let me take a look real quick. It's spiked on something not too shortly after I started creating this video. Let me see. Just give me 2 seconds. Not that I can see at the moment, but damn, you had some pretty bad earnings from, PayPal and some of these other companies, Western Digital. So it's just, a matter of, again, just when the market wakes up, because the market can do what it wants to do. I've warned people this 1,000 times. And again, if I can get a mic check real quick too, down is a trade. It's not an investment thesis. You're not going short forever. So as long as you have that in the back of your mind, should be good. All right. Any thoughts, questions, concerns? I can see what's going on in the Discord room. I will keep an eye on that. At this point, mic is good. Cool. Follow on Twitter again. Drop in charts, ideas, thoughts. YouTube, if you're not a subscriber, follower, again, hit the notification bell so you never have to forget and worry about getting a notification for these live chats. It'll alert you. Again, continuing to update the Trading Agent website. Tons of articles on there. A lot of stuff got going on. Let's check out the CME tool just, again, because I always like to do it on lives to see how the Fed futures are looking. Still looking like a pause for June. Let's just jump through it. Bitcoin, nothing. Oil, not surprised, bouncing, right? I mean, not surprised. We've talked about trading range. Watch the mid-60s. Seems to be holding. Just kind of it is what it is. Natural gas. I don't even know why I even talk about it. Let's jump into AMD because that's really what I'm got my eye on. Oh, not Flex LNG. AM Dizzle. Some of these semiconductors. Watching this area up here. Could we go a little higher? I mean, that's the hardest part about stocks like this when they catch momentum is they can really wick out. And that's where I'm watching the intraday on the 10-minute today, thinking to myself, I feel like we're there. On the 10-minute. We literally hit one of my resistance zones pretty spot on. The volumes have been pretty solid, which, solid relating to like, oh, a cat, you gotta be a little quieter. Just the action, it's hard to know for sure if it's distribution or accumulation. I'd be more likely to think it's more distribution, but that's the thing. If it is about to go on a moonshot and become the NVDA like some people are saying, well, then it could. But this is where, again, you define your risk. You don't just sit here and you short endlessly. Because, again, I personally think about where the stock came from. Down in the 50s. And now the market makers continue to have exit liquidity potential here. So that's all I'm watching. I didn't trade around the position this morning. I don't have enough shares to really, I think, in my opinion, do much. The position isn't that large because I've got most of my stuff in some of the other things that we've been short, financials, tech, inverse ETFs. But I think it's a good trade setup potentially because you got massive overhead resistance in this area. Again, this is what people sometimes struggle with. They go, well, where's the exact best entry? I wish I could tell you. It just doesn't really work like that. Because, again, anyone who's predicting perfection, again, you can watch intraday charts. It looks like we hit the spot and it'll pull over. And we're getting through amateur hour. Because keep in mind, the opening hour, right? Amateur hour, right? Yeah, it popped on that Microsoft rumor, then ended up being false. Now, again, a lot of people are saying that Microsoft rumor isn't false. They'll be somehow involved with AMD if they're chips. But, go look at the inventory data for chips. It's bad. I mean, their backlogs disappeared and they're oversupplied. So it's just, I can't tell you when it all wakes up, but I do know that I can be patient waiting for it because I think the risk is well worth the reward. When the market improve? Damn, Tim. When you say market improve, what do you mean? When can it improve? I mean, I think I've said this 1,000 times. You're never gonna see, you haven't seen this bear market bottom until the VIX capitulates. When I mean capitulates, like, that's not what I want to look at. Yeah, you can get a chip and you get a chip. Yeah, everyone gets a chip. Like, there's zero chance in hell that this is the bottom. I mean, this is the top in the bear market. I mean, look at all the other times in history where the VIX has gotten at least till a 48 level. So, just a matter of when, not if. So, and that's why this is the thing about the summer. If you're not familiar about summer trading zones, it can be choppy and sloppy. Now, again, will the big dump happen until the fall now? I mean, there's so many factors here that go into play. You just don't know. You really just don't know. Because, again, I personally have thought, in my mind, there you go, AMD, come right on back. The bear market is probably going to end sometime this year. It's just when, right? When? I don't know. I mean, you got to capitulate it. Because, again, years ending in election years, usually the year before an election year isn't too bad. Because, again, at some point, if rates go lower, and the reason why I say rates go lower is because the economy starts slowing aggressively, I'm pretty sure you'll hit some sort of capitulation moment. And then Congress or the feds or somebody, they'll really start stepping in. Like, this bank stuff is just, again, in my opinion, it's just the door opening to major and more stuff. Because, again, rates for too long, too low, massive problem. Because now banks are sitting on zombie debt, and people have assets that are worth nothing, literally. I mean, who wants to buy a fixed rate asset paying 2 and 3% when inflation is at whatever number you want to pick? Because, again, this is where I think the argument can be made where, well, what's the inflation rate? Well, it's sustaining, first of all. I think that's the thing that sucks. And you're kind of at this point where I don't think rates are ever going to get back that low. So there's a lot of stuff that, I mean, especially Europe, negative yielding debt. I mean, who the hell was ever going to want this stuff? And who wants to hold it for 30, 40, 50? I mean, there's 100-year debt out there. That's just stupid. Anyway, so if you have any questions, please chime in. Looks like someone's looking at CRM. We're up here. Again, when in doubt, zoom out. I mean, I guess ideally the best short with CRM would be around this 214, 215. I haven't really played with it, but I mean, you got on the monthly big up 2 consolidation candles. It's not really telling you if it's bearish at this point or bullish. I mean, remember, think about this as a daily chart. You'd say high and tight isn't bearish. When I look at the weekly, though, it looks, you've got a little more importance here. You've got the 200 week. You can see, like, here's 214 right here in this area. Here, I'll just draw it. Like, this area, to me, would be like the next resistance if this resistance doesn't fail. But, I mean, you got the 100-month week, 200 week. You got resistance. I get it. Some people might be looking at CRM. Again, I think, I can't remember the market cap of CRM, but it's not a mega cap, if I remember correct. Like a mega cap. It's not like Mr. Softy, or obviously not Mr. Softy. It's not one of the top 15 or 20 market caps. I mean, could they still get bought out? That's the question, right? Do they have some sort of buyout premium? I don't know. NVIDIA, again, hits the range highs, backing off. Good old SMH. I gotta redraw this, man. It got reverse splitted, or it's split. I mean, you're stuck up here. You can see it pretty clear. Apple starting to, like, just the reality that someone's paying 30 times next year's earnings for negative growth. I mean, you got to be kind of crazy to buy Apple. stock. I mean, unless you're just holding it for the dividend, that's all it's really about at this point. The growth is not there, not going to be looking to accelerate. Talked about Meta, the gap and trap at the lows. I mean, I don't know if Scott's listening. He was like, it's going to 250. It's like, okay. You get the gap down, trap, top, or bottom, and now you have the extreme. Same thing. I mean, the stock goes from, 88 to 244. A couple 100%. Looks like exit liquidity. When the identified bottom, going to be a lot of buys of patience. Well, the IWM, I mean, I don't think the IWM is anywhere close. I mean, if you zoom out, the IWM monthly, and you look at what happens to the IWM during bear markets, you went from 87 down to 35. Do the math. That's a 60% loss. Even a 50% from 230 takes you down into this. I mean, I personally think the IWM best buys will be somewhere down in here when the 200-month creeps up. Because you see how the 200-month, that's been the support. During COVID, obviously you don't have 200-month before that. But that's what I'd be looking at. You still got a ways to go. I mean, that's what bear markets do. I mean, I always try to explain this to people. Like, most people haven't seen them. Like, at a bottom in a bear market, everybody who ever learned to talk about stocks stops. The average person who's the social media influencer, the Uber driver, the fantasy sports bettor, like the Dave Portnoy's. I mean, like, those people will be like, I don't ever want to play with stocks again. Because guess what? They're going to get burned. Like, that's what happens at bear markets. And that's how you know the bull market was getting over. Because everybody was buying. I mean, think about what we went into 2 years ago. Like, stocks only go up. How many people here who've been following me for a while said, that's going to be the tagline of failure for the stock market? Like, literally, that is going to be the tagline that you've hit the top. And a lot of people were like, kind of thought that was funny. And I'm like, no, like, literally, like, that's exit liquidity headline. Stocks only go up. Wrong. Yeah, you've been around, Banff. So now at the low, like, again, this is why I keep telling people, like, you're not at a bear market bottom when everyone's bullish. You just aren't. And it's not going to be like a rip back, bounce back here. Hold on a second. Like, so like this action here looks more realistic, but look at, like, say, like the SPY or the Qs, right? You got the retest later, great, but you're not going to see the straight rips off the lows, in my opinion. You're going to see, like, just a rolling, choppy bottom, potentially. Now, again, it really depends on what happens with all the government spending and whatnot, but that's my opinion. Like, go look at, I wonder if we can get the SPY. I don't know. It just depends, too, because velocity will matter, right? Like, just give me a second while I'm scrolling back, but if you remember what my statement about velocity begets velocity, like, if we go in a straight line move down hard, like, look at this. You bounce back faster, right? But again, that was COVID. I don't know if I count COVID. I mean, COVID was such a weird, I don't know, just so weird in all facets of trading. Give me 2 seconds. I got to charge my watch. It's like beeping on my wrist. Come on. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where the velocity will get the velocity. Like, if we go creaming, like timber, look out below, then yeah, I mean, we could bounce back faster. You'll have a higher low, and then it'll go higher, and it could then slow down. But you have to keep in mind, like, the VIX in 38 is not that extreme. I'm just sorry. I try to explain it. Like, that is not that extreme. So here again, here we are. This is where I feel like we're in. We're like in just this choppy crap where there'll be one more leg down, right? Keep in mind where we're coming from. Remember, with these lower numbers in the SPY, like, these are actually bigger daily percentages, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% days all the time. So that'll be the last, you'll get some sort of last leg, but are we in, like, the chop at some point? Like, here's like the October lows, pretend in your mind. I mean, we're going to take them out at some point, in my opinion. It's just what causes the pain. And we still haven't really seen, I mean, again, 130 down to 80. I mean, I don't really feel like we've seen the crazy straight line moves down to kind of, in my opinion. Like, look at this. I mean, you kind of had some. You've had some. Yes, you've had some. But do the relative math. Like, I'm talking like a 10, 15% just straight line move down. And 10 or 15%, obviously, in this will be like 60, 70 points in the SPY. I mean, I guess you could argue that these kind of were, right? Yeah. But the problem with, in my opinion, is just the VIX didn't explode. It just didn't explode like you would think. Like, and this is the thing. And you're not really that far off the highs, though. 20% off the highs, is that really like a capitulation? It's tough to say for sure. It's just a matter of when. That's the hardest part here. People get mad that it's chopping and they don't buy enough time. I get it. Or if you buy enough time, you don't trade around your position and you don't re-roll them out into something else. Hella frustrating. I get it. Been there, done that. Yeah, a lot of things don't add up for the bottom to be in. Now, again, the only way that the bottom is in is if the Feds are about to just open the liquidity spigot completely to bail out everything, to save the economy. But the problem is if they do that, then inflation just goes right back to 10%. And I think the difference here is that maybe they could do that last year. But if you go into an election cycle, like again, like the election stuff is going to start heating up very soon. Like who are the next nominees for president? Parties are putting up, talk about it. Biden's going to be owning the economy. Like if inflation rips up to 10% again, I mean, his handlers aren't going to like that. That's kind of how I've always thought it. And people say, "Oh, like, don't say it like that." I'm like, well, that's the reality. Like, the owning, the party in control own what's happening. Dollar, watching this again, we said holding the range lows. I really like it. A lot of people are like, "Oh, the market's not going to roll." I'm like, I don't know. But they suppress such. But that's the thing. This is Tim. I don't know how long you've been trading, my friend, but that's what the market does. It creates. I mean, before you suppress volatility, there's something called trader fatigue and trader, just over trading. Like that, they know that it's always the same. People don't change. The emotions of market don't change. It's just how fast and how tight things become. Like there is trader fatigue because traders who trade all the time think something big has to happen today or tomorrow, and that's the thing. That's the market's always been like that. That's literally how the market has always been. So people complain and whine in general, right? Because it's like, man, when's this crap going to be over? But it's like, no, the reality is if you go look at the TLT, I mean, 6 months of nothing, right? IWM, 2021 went nowhere. Literally nowhere in a 10 or 12% range. Nowhere. That's what the markets can do. And that's what the problem here is that ultimately there will be a meltdown. It's just how long do we need to chop this off? And remember, the bigger the chop, the bigger the move too. Because think about like just going back to the SPY, right? The longer you trade in this huge monster trading range, right? The bigger the move after you break out of it, right? Think about the psychology here, okay? Do me a favor. Pretend this is the trading range from May of last year to May of this year. If we break below 350, dude, people will unload everything because that's where their stops are going to be. That's where people are going to say, well, I guess the economy's worse and things are getting worse and blah, 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 end of the world, whatever. However they want to narrate, right? That's what it'll be. It'll be a huge move because obviously the liquidity, market makers will have unloaded all they need. They'll have plenty of short liquidity and then they can control the next move down. Yep, AMD red. Thank you, Banff. Thank you. Told people, don't be surprised if there's long wicks. Said watch the 10-minute. Literally hit our spot. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Do, 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 do. Probably should have taken some profits on it this morning, but I don't have a ton of it. So I'm like, I mean, to know that if you're shorting in the 94 to 95 area, to know that it could get right back down to 75, I mean, that's not a bad risk reward. A couple hundred shares. Just chill the hell out. Summer vibes, relaxing. working on yourself, working on, a lot of y'all know I'm dealing with some family issues. Again, I don't know how to, other than put it that it's sometimes you get distracted. Things happen. Life isn't always what you think it is. And when I say that, meaning like things change, like things happen. And, if you're thinking you can give 1,000% of your effort to trading all the time, that's why I hate day trading, because it's like I love real estate just as much as I love trading. I love my family. I love helping you guys out. I love doing all these things. But the reality is that, certain things will take precedence over certain things. And it's like you can't watch the market every day. You just can't. You can't sit here and watch for 6.5 hours. And honestly, this is what I've told people. If watching the market for 6.5 hours made them a better trader, everyone would be better. The problem is that no one studies the damn past. Nobody's trying to play the game of like what happened in the past, what are the recurring circumstances, and can I be patient? Nobody can do that shit. So, I don't know what you're saying there, man. What's up, stock, charter, freight? And maybe you can clarify what you mean. I can check that out. But, that's just the reality of things. That is just the reality. Like, think of your trading account as a stock. You just want higher highs and higher lows. Yep, Tesla. Roll your boat. NVIDIA down 6 points. Why? It can only go up. Right? XLF, again, people took some shorts yesterday. I like it. I'd love to see the 20, 50 day cross, but this is why, again, I always get people who are just like, you're early or you're wrong, and I'm like, you're an idiot, because you don't know the history of stock trading. To say that you have to hit a certain spot always to get into a trade is stupidity. The reality is that you get retests a lot, and sometimes you don't. And so would you rather be early at the right price that you think is right with tight stops or discipline than not at all? Because what if you only literally had, it looks like you got up there at the open yesterday on XLF. If you didn't take any of it, there's no guarantee you're getting any of it then if you're reshorting. Just throwing that out there. That's why sometimes you feel like you're wrong, but it's a probability-based game. You don't know for sure if it will retest. If it will. This looks distributive, counter trend balance, boom. Said for 1 million. I like to use, what is it? I like to use all the comments from people who follow, and I'm getting people saying, you're an idiot for shorting financials. I'm like, And I love to retail sentiment. You're short again. The reason why we held, again, this is a major area. I think we're going lower in time. You think there's only these banking crisis from commercial real estate and low rates being forever is figured out in a couple weeks and a couple bailouts? I know there's big bank bailouts, but have we really felt the big pain? Again, deposits are leaving the banks left and right. Why would anyone hold money at a bank paying 0.1%? You're basically getting robbed because they're just lending it out at 7%. It's literally robbery. And again, I think people are starting to wake up. And the fact that also, too, like they try to go to the bank and they realize there's no money here. Oh, can I get $10,000? No. Can I get cash out? Sorry, you can only get $500 a day, sir. Ma'am. Dinosaur, cat, whatever you are. Sorry. Like, that's just not cool. And that's the reality of things. So, any other thoughts, questions, concerns? If not, I will wrap it up. Again, there's not a ton of... The big date is tomorrow. So is this like a Fed week where the Wednesday, Thursday matter the most? I don't know. Me personally, it's going to... Oh, man. Is this working? Can y'all hear? Oh, I guess you can't hear me. This is too bad that my actual... Look here, I'll show you. This. Okay, I can't. The browser froze. Come on. Looks like we have to restart it all. Oops. This is what it is. Firefox. Oh, this is just Frustrating. Give me 2 seconds. I'll get it all restarted again. Apologize. There we go. Right back. Open my links. Not now. You relax. Okay. Perfect. Because I was sitting there talking to myself, essentially going, man, it doesn't really seem there's a lot of interaction in this video. There we go. Boom. I'm like, man, caught up. There's a bunch of comments. Yeah, banks are okay, right? Russia shorting banks, they guessing. What? I don't... What? Russia, what? Russia's not shorting banks. I know Russia is shutting in oil supplies. I know they're taking oil off the market in their economy. They're shutting in oil. Again, I think they're going to try to keep the price above 80. So, any other questions, thoughts? Again, this is all, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's interesting. The Qs are now at the low of the day. Amateur hour is over. That's why I don't like doing videos in the first hour of the day, because I try to explain it like either you're watching for extremes to trade around, or the prices you're watching, I mean, they might be the tops or the bottoms, but you really got to like pay attention. So like back to AMD, the Dizzle, if you're watching this live and you're paying attention, congratulations. Again, I didn't think we'd get much over this level around here. Round here. You can zoom out. You can. Man, I guess, hold on. You got to get. Wrong chart. Let me give you the hourly. It'll be a little cleaner. Where you at? Need 2 seconds. Yeah, there it is. Lots of chop. Yeah. Now, we went over the 618. Now, I'm not surprised with the momentum. Right? You do have some. Look, the VAP zone here in the 95s. Right? Can you get over the 618 temporarily? Absolutely. Right? Well, I'm watching what happens when it gets back under 94. Keep it simple, stupid. And this is the hardest thing, too, again. Do not go all in at one price. When you're looking to short or buy something, do not expect that you will always pick the right prices perfectly. And again, this is the hard part, like about financials. Like if you shorted, you didn't have any shorts, and you just trying to go back in, it's hard to say you should have gone all in yesterday. I still can't say for sure because, again, chop, retest, you don't know. But this is the thing. You got to know your conviction. Like in my mind, any bounce on financials is a short, in my opinion. Because, again, I think they're going to get absolutely destroyed. Well, now with tech, you got to be careful. I think tech does get absolutely stomped. But it's clearly not as weak, right? So that's just kind of my thinking on it. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? I mean, Apple's a little weak. Really like to see Microsoft stop this crap. Oh, yeah, good old Sedgerton. I know Birdie Maker's saying, oh, yeah, you guys are idiots for shorting solar. And it's like, how does anyone not see how obvious solar is? But again, you got to pick and choose your spots. Like, look at this real quick. I'm just curious. Yeah, here's an example getting over the 0.618. And you might even argue that, yeah, here's your 50% fib. I mean, there's many ways to draw these things, though, right? Professional gap, novice gap. I mean, this is what's so hard, too. There's a lot of gaps, but they tend to get filled, though. So that's where it's like, you know, I'm not too concerned for people who took a short on post-earnings day up here. Now, everyone, I'd love to have seen 309, but you're not getting that. And so now if you're watching this thing, it's like, just be careful. I mean, I think, as I've said 1,000 times, like, yes, OPEC is going to try to keep oil prices higher. It doesn't mean that solar doesn't get smoked. If Republicans do what they think they're going to do, they're going to probably try to cut subsidies for a lot of this crap. So, I mean, again, crap meaning, again, green energy, I mean, I don't know what the best efficient version is. People try to argue it's solar. I'm like, I would argue nuclear power by 1,000. But then also, too, I think of Nikola Tesla pulling electricity out of the air. Right? Like, there's a way. Is solar the future? It's maybe another Band-Aid like oil and gas to the next step. Like, there is an ability to pull electricity and pull power out of just the way that the Earth is charged. Earth is basically a huge battery, right? Battery potential, essentially. Autos get hit more. Yeah, I mean, autos in general. Like, go talk to any car dealership or used car dealership. Like, the interest rates on cars now that the banks are offering, people can't afford. I mean, now they're trying to get, I know Anthony, good friend of mine down in Florida, who is all about buying a Jeep Rubicon. Prices obviously went nuts. They're now selling $10,000 below MSRP. That sounds like they're trying to dump cars. Call it what it is. I perfectly understand how this works, but I think people, again, that, like, the news, this is the hardest part right now, folks. I don't care if you're left, right, center, whatever. There is now the news has always been, and the mass media has always been a conglomerate owned by the powerful, right? Like, no one's gonna argue that. But now it's even more concentrated to the point where I don't know if there's really a difference between the left and the right that are in power. So knowing such, is it really to their narrative to, like, tell people how bad things really are? I mean, that's, again, like, I don't know if it would be any different if there was another president currently, but my point being is that, isn't it in their best interest to, like, tell people how not bad things are? Because then people vote. They vote with their wallet, right? They vote with their emotions, right? Like, if you just tell people everything's not that bad, people start to believe a lie you tell them many times. You guys remember that saying? That saying? Like, if you hear and believe a lie long enough, it becomes truth, essentially. You start believing it. Yeah, you get almost the same program on all the main channels. Yes, the news now is all very similar, right? I always laugh because I've watched both, like, say, Fox and MSNBC every once in a while, just to kind of, like, see what they're yapping about. All it is it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. So this is how you get the perfect storm for those in control, right? Divide the people, because half the people think everything isn't that bad, and the other think the world is ending. So now they have zero to agree on. And now you can control people better, right? It's always been divide and conquer, right? Like, that's what you're trying to do here. If everybody agreed that the economy sucked and inflation was too high and Congress needs to get off their ass, cut spending, do the right things, yeah. It literally could be fixed in what would seem like a few strokes of the pen, right? But no, it's much easier to convince everyone to hate each other and convince everyone else it's the other guy's fault and say, well, we're going to hold on to what we're doing. See, it's working. Or when we were president, this is work. It's like, guys, the best bills, the best future concerns everybody, and it's going to be pain for both sides. No side's going to get their whole way. Like, do we want communism? No. Do we want unbridled free market capitalism with no regulation, where the companies that are already too big would become even bigger? No. Right? Like, I don't think we want that either, because imagine if these big social media companies and the big tech companies and big whatever company were now given unfettered capitalism in the sense where they could do whatever they wanted. You would develop, it'd be like Russia in the sense you get these oligarchies, right? Oligarchies. So that's no good either. It's government has a limited role, but it doesn't need to be doing everything. Yeah, people always believe the lies when told by elites. Well, think about this. How many people, honestly, raise your hand in here, believe that when COVID happened, it made sense that all businesses shut down except Amazon and Walmart and the big box retailers, right? Like the big conglomerate companies, right? I don't think that was fair, right? You literally gave the death sentence to all small business, and then they're like, oh, we'll hand out some loans, but it was like too little too late, right? Again, I'm not trying to be political. I'm talking about, like, actual actions. Like, those did not make sense to me, right? Oh, we have to shut down all small businesses, but somebody's got to stay open. right? No, that doesn't make sense. No, let people choose their own path. They fail because of being open, then that's them. But don't force them to close. Like, I thought that was always just such crap. But saw a graph that about white and black getting along with each other around when Obama talked about race, and now down to 30%. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I must live in a bubble because I don't talk with a lot of angry and emotional, highly volatile political people. Conversations I have typically revolve around people are a little more left, some are a little right. Everyone agrees that the people in charge, like Congress as a whole, bag of doo-doo. I mean, they're not doing anything, right? Like, when's the last time they did anything of any good? Thank you for asking me about a stock. Shop. Okay, man. Shop. Tartaria. What's the stock ticker for Tartaria? I'm reading about that. It's interesting. Shopify. Oh, man. They announced something recently, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. They were going to change something. I saw a headline about it. Jordan, give me 2 seconds, and I can find it. I know they said something. And again, just for my peace of mind, I'm going to look it up so that I have no doubt. So that if anyone watches this later, they go, well, this is why. I mean, they've had some upgrades and downgrades. Where are we at? May 3rd. Was it last week? Announced its next integration with Shopify. Shop upgraded. Shop bags. Shop gains. A lot of upgrades lately. I thought they integrated with somebody in some sort of big news. Maybe I'm wrong. Womp womp. Selling off logistics biz. Yes, that's it. Yes, selling off the logistics biz. 24. Okay. All right, they're doing the Facebook. Okay, yeah, they exited logistics. Thank you. I'm like, why did I not say that? I mean, I don't know enough about the business to really. Obviously, someone likes it, but it's already been compressed. Think about, like, this is a big chop zone, right? You'd say literally like 50 down to 25, but it also got cut in pieces. So, me personally, I wouldn't short this thing. I think Shopify could be bought out at any point. I don't know why anyone would buy them out, other than you're buying the name. Let me draw it. I mean, I can see where you're thinking. Like, there's some sort of short here. You know, like, you can draw it so many damn ways. Because sometimes you go out of the channel. Yeah, I mean, you're at what seems like the top of the range. It makes sense. A fib level around, I mean, what fib are you talking? Because again, if I draw I imagine there's not many fibs up here, but I could be wrong. 260 around 60. Yeah, I guess. This is tough. This is a tough one. I mean, again, these are the names that I don't like to short. Because they're not mega caps. Right? This thing is off a huge amount. It's probably has a ton of liquidity wrapped up by market makers / like pumpers. And if you guys don't know what I mean by pumpers, like, the thing about when a stock gets absolutely smoked like this, right, is now you have the ability of, you name who you want to describe it as holding this, who can manage narratives and create pump to get that. But I mean, again, it's like, that's definitely a squeeze. It's definitely multiple days. It's just tough to know when the momentum, because think about all the people who bought down here, right? And then all the people who shorted. Again, if the market rolls over, it's gone. If the market just keeps chopping, this is clearly outperforming since October. Be careful, right? Like, it is clearly 1,000% outperforming since the October lows. It's not a mega cap, so it could get potentially bought out, or a big partnership, or who knows, somebody could just say something. Yeah, I just think this is one of those situations where you go, why not short Tesla or NVIDIA, AMD, SMH, and maybe you already have those things. Financials, it's just, man, these are really, really tough, because I've been in your position where I've thought, like, all right, these are good shorts, and then you don't realize, like, somehow, like, dumb people think it's getting back to 100, right? It doesn't mean, so it keeps people potentially from selling until what? The backside, right? The backside of the moon being when the market makers are done, they know those people will all trap and they'll unload. But if people are sitting here buying Shopify going, it's going to 100, well, then it's only good that they're holding on until when it flips. So you have to be cognizant of, again, I mean, you can leave it alone, but just tread lightly, maybe, right? Maybe buy long dated puts at, I guess you're not that far off. Yeah, I mean, define your risk. I mean, this is the thing, like, always, what did Livermore try to talk about? Simplicity. The same thing I like, because your decision-making process when you get in has to be evaluated constantly. And so if you're fighting all, like, these mental, like, worries, like, fuck, could it get bought out? Man, damn it, could it get squeezed more because it's been absolutely smoked? That's the thing. It's like somebody was talking about, or Wild Warriors, like, talking about shorting XBI. I'm like, I love it. I love the idea of it. But I don't really love the idea of it because it's already down a ton. 175, I mean, here it is. I mean, this is me thinking of Shopify. Here's XBI. Baby bios. Now, again, you have a reference here. Makes sense. But I don't know why you wouldn't want to short financials, in my opinion. Like, they had big catalysts to get absolutely bombed on, right? Solar, same thing, right? Bombed on. Tech, bombed on. Commodity names, not so much. Man, anyone, like, looking at, again, I itch. And again, it's not athlete's foot or jock itch. No. I'm itching for these ag names to get taken down lower. Pure comedy here. You've got a bad itch. Yes. I need to scratch it at some point. I will be buying commodity names. But I just got to be, I have to talk to myself. I have to go, Dan, can you not wait for what? The VIX to do what? Higher. Go higher. Do things. What up, Zeph? How can I help you, my friend? Any other thoughts, questions? I'm trying to just... Friends trading room. What's going on over there? I gave myself a June. People are talking about Starbucks. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it again. I like that short. But what do we talk about, right? Probably going to bounce a little bit 20-day. Pretty natural. Pretty natural. You're hoping it starts this. I get that. I hope so too for y'all. But actually don't mind the professional gap down and then fake bounce below the 20-day. Because the 20-day is pretty crucial. So, excuse me. Man, Taiwan Semi, you are just special. 20-day, doink. Come on, AMD. You know you want it. AJG. Gonna be a nice short. AJG. Ooh, what is this? Gallagher. What is this? Why do I not know of this stock? What are they? This is interesting. I don't know if it's actually a good short. What is it? What is this? What did this be? Author? Is this like a accounting firm? What is this? Arthur Gallagher? Insurance financials. I mean, it didn't even really drop that much in 2008. I guess it dropped. I don't know. People always need insurance. Yeah, I don't know. This one is a... This is what everyone thinks the SPY looks like. This is what everyone thinks the SPY is looking like and setting up for. The reality is... That's tough. I mean, I can see it. The thing that I always struggle with, and I've told people this for years, you know, if you pick a top, you better be prepared to be wrong versus a reference. Because picking tops, people are like, oh, you're a hero. Okay. But I mean, this is pretty wild. I mean, this is a straight line move. So if you wanted to, here, Banff, if you wanted to like look at previous straight line moves, what did they do, right? A higher low, or sorry, a higher high failure, a double top failure, a double top failure. This was clearly a chop top. Remember we, didn't top until then. I mean, if you watch this age, because this is literally as simplistic as it needs to be. Wherever the top ends up being, wait for a pullback first. I think that's the safest way to trade it. So, that's my dirty opinion on that. AMD, come on down, you little son of a biscuit. You such a bitch, AMD. I know who trades these stocks endlessly, and maybe you're the one listening to them not making fun of. Like, you guys, I mean, you were the same folks that whatever 200 on AMD or whatever is like, it's going higher, and then they're the same folks. No, what did it get to 180, right? At 160s. Down here going, oh, it's going back to $2. Now that you own it, you're convincing yourself it's going back to whatever, the all-time highs. Okay, whatever. They don't understand the cycles of this crap. I said it over and over. You got to be very careful with chips, because when the cycle of chips ends, literally they're all making better chips every year, always making better chips. But now the pricing goes essentially down because they've overbuilt, they're competing, and the costs just continue to rise. It's such a bad business to be involved in. But everybody goes, oh, it's the chips, it's the future. Well, no crap. Don't you think there was chips and development in chips for the last 20 years? 30 years? It's not going to stop. This just doesn't mean the stocks are going to act well. People don't realize, like, momentum is a real thing. Once you lose momentum in a sector, once you lose momentum like Tesla, it ain't going back to the highs, y'all. It just ain't. And if it does, it's not going to be until after it just gets chopped around and beat up and nobody wants it anymore. Like, I mean, are we even close to that? I don't know. I still hear people going, well, you got to hold on to Tesla for the long run if you're going to make money. Like, no, I want to hear people going, Tesla sucks. It's kind of like, who here has been trading gold? Who here? Do you not remember at the lows? Nobody, anybody. I mean, you couldn't even smell a bull. Crypto was taking over. Crypto was the one. Gold is terrible. Gold's a relic. Gold's a doorstop. Buffett's out there saying gold's a pet rock. I mean, that's the kind of shit, excuse my language, that I want to see at a bottom. I mean, how many people, and again, I know a lot of people who did follow me. This is like, if you're buying gold down here in the like $1,200, $1,300, $1,500 range, you're a fucking gift. But told you it wasn't going to pay off tomorrow. It's like, keep that in your vault. Hold on to that one. Put that into your whatever. I don't know about bank. I would not hide it at a bank security box. I feel like that's not good. So, yeah. I mean, that's just the nature of trading. Like, it really is. And I think people on a fundamental level, and this is what the brain does, Tim, Banff, Jordan, whoever's listening, Zaf, your brain is going to try to convince you that you know when something is going to happen and it better happen now. And if it doesn't happen now, you're wrong. And the market's got its own game. It's like playing blackjack and waiting for the best odds to be in your favor, and you still can lose, and then when you hit it, you hit it. You know, it's just the nature of the game. Like, there's no guarantees. That's the hardest part here, is like, people think that they're getting into trading to figure out how to always win. No, you're getting into trading to figure out how to manage losses when you're wrong, how to be disciplined, and then when you're right, how to execute and maximize your wins. Minimize losses, maximize gains. It's really that easy, but everybody's just all focused about maximizing gains where they neglect how to lose. The next thing you know, like me, like everybody else, essentially in trading at some point, you will blow an account out. You will make a monster mistake. That's what everybody does, but most people don't learn from their mistakes. They give up. I mean, I sit here and laugh because do you think not the market's going to blow people out? It's going to do that. It's going to blow out both bull and bears. That's what they do in a bear market, trader's market. So any other last thoughts, questions, concerns? I mean, there's not really. I mean, what do you expect today? I mean, I think the market just kind of goes flat. I would say this, speaking of gold, those who are involved in gold, I get a lot of bulls that are just trolling hard. The Feds haven't pivoted yet. Now, I know that money that came in, keep in mind, like, look at it. Like, since the banks got bailed out, all that liquidity came in. You would think gold would be just ripping to the moon. Feels like exit liquidity. Now, I've heard JP Morgan has a large short on metals, which that's very ballsy of them. Congratulations. High five to them if they end up being right. And again, I like the JP Morgan short either way. I keep in mind, speaking of, like, this doesn't really look that good. Like, look at silver again. Like, you're going to need an event to take this over the top. That's for sure. And it could be CPI, maybe. Raise your stops. That's all I'm asking if you're in the metals plate. GDX, same thing. You got some interesting areas. Speaking of JP, I don't know why I didn't pull this up. I mean, I'm not even watching it. If you short it up here, you do well. You do well. So, any other last thoughts, questions, concerns? Forever hold your peace. I need to got a listing that we got going live coming soon in a day or two, and then next week going live. Good friend of mine selling a house. You know, I'll try to document the process, but one of the things I really have tried to explain to people who are in the market, if you have a house to sell, please reach out. Do not go to some dipshit real estate agent and throw it on the market and expect to get a price. Like, you need to be very thoughtful. You need to know what's going on in your area, what the comps are. You need to be able to talk to the agents who have other listings in the area to see how's demand. You have it listed for X price. How many people showed up to the open house? How many people are scheduling showings? All right, well, if they tell you the feedback is not that good, you better be careful pricing it at a similar price per square foot or price range. Like, you got to know this. And so, like, I see it constantly now as the housing market is slowing down. If you want to get your house sold quickly for the best price, the goal, actually, the smartest thing is to actually list it under market price to try to wrap in as many buyers as you can so that you get the best terms potentially. Maybe you end up getting the same price or a little lower, but you get the best terms. You know you're going to sell your house, and you can move the hell on. It's the folks that don't speak to good agents that are sitting on the market. They put their house out there. It's going to sit there for weeks and months, and then guess what? The holding costs are just going to screw them. Absolutely going to screw them, right? And what happens then, right? Now they're definitely not getting the price they want. So it's like, what's the cost of sitting there? Then they're not marketing well. They're doing all these things absolutely just stupidly. Because again, think about the bubble in housing, if that's what you call it. There was a bubble in real estate agents. 80% of the real estate agents, just kind of like traders, they're going to be gone at some point. And people don't know crap. And this is the thing too, I keep telling you, like, if you're a seller, maybe you offer lender credits. Like, what if that's the difference that gets somebody to afford your house? There's all these things out there. And again, you want to maximize value, but also time. That's the hardest thing when because you're going to get emotional. When you list your house, if it doesn't sell in 2 weeks, a month, you're going to start questioning God. You're going to start questioning everything. And if the agent hasn't had the experience to understand, like, what's going to happen if you do this wrong and advise you, you're going to screw yourself. And it's because you worked with, hey, your uncle or your neighbor or the guy that you see his sign every once in a while. Like, again, know somebody's plan. Like, I'm amazed that I'm not actually amazed how dumb people are, right? Like, it's one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make in your life, selling a house, potentially. And people will just go use the first person that knocks on their door or the first card they see or the first mailer. Again, there's a lot of cookie cutter, low discount brokerages out there that'll just throw your house on the market. Well, guess what? You do it wrong, it's going to cost you way more than you ever thought. Ever thought. So, and that's the thing. Like, time is money. If you understand that inventory is coming to the market, more of it, and you price it wrong, now you're going to be competing not only against yourself, but all the other houses coming out. And so speed matters. Speed matters. Like, our goal when we list our house is like, first weekend, we got to be getting offers. Right? And again, I always tell them, like, do we have to take the first best offer? I always tell them, like, no. Like, it's in the contract. Technically, they could or should. Or no, technically, it's supposed to, but I'm always like, listen, like, our goal is to get the most amount. Like, let's fish through these offers. Let's see. Let's not just make a rash decision. The first offer sometimes can be the best offer, but let's just see where we're at. Because, again, it's kind of like analyzing data from trading, right? You got to, like, see where you're at. If you're looking to buy, holy crap, talk to me too. Because here's the thing about buying. Whenever you're ready, even if you're not ready for 3, 6, 9 months, a year, that's fine. You need to be getting emails about the market fed to you. You need to be knowing the data of what's going on in your area so that you can start seeing the pricing of things and you can confirm, all right, trends down. Trends down. This is the right price. All right, well, what if at some point, as you make money and you're doing things well, you need to get pre-qualified. You need to talk to a lender. You need to see where you're sitting at because what you can afford. Because then once you know how much you can afford, and even if you don't get fully qualified and you just tell a lender, like, hey, I want to start knowing what prices are, and when it's time, I will buy something with you. It's a big deal because then you can now start knowing what your bullets can get you. And a lot of people sit here and they go, well, I watched this area for a week, and then they know, well, what's the best price to offer? Well, what if you know a whole area and you see, like, all right, there's 7 houses that all are very similar, right? Well, what if you could score one for 20% under market value? People are like, oh, how the hell are you going to do that? Well, maybe there's someone out there who literally is in a divorce, has to move, has to go now. And they're sitting on gains because they've owned the house for 10 years. And so, again, if they bought something at $300,000 and now it's at $600,000, maybe they take, right, $50,000 under. You don't know this, right? Like, you don't know how this is going to work until you start making offers. And that's where, again, living in your own mind about how this is going to work out versus working with a professional it's like thinking you're going to go and defend yourself in court as your own attorney. Some of you guys might be able to do that. But in general, I don't have the capacity. I'd rather just, again, talk to a great lawyer to do all the work so that when I show up, I just smile and I look not guilty. Does this make sense? Any thoughts, comments about this? Again, if you have any questions, please absolutely reach out about real estate stuff because that's the stuff where I think it's kind of like buying commodities in the future. Like, we're going to be finding some amazing dips. I think there's going to be some amazing real estate dips. And again, maybe real estate doesn't appreciate a ton, but I think the rents are going to continue to sustain in certain areas and if anything go higher. Keep in mind, if people aren't buying houses, what are they doing? What are they doing? They're renting, y'all. So, all right, I got to run. I got a phone call. Good chat. Talk to y'all later.